In episode 30, titled Analyze Events, Triage Alerts, and Escalate Confidently, we define triage as the craft of making fast, consistent decisions under pressure. The job is to turn raw signals into action while the window for preventing loss is still open, which means clarity beats cleverness and repeatability beats improvisation. Good triage feels calm because it is built on pre-agreed thresholds, plain language evidence, and a rhythm that the whole team recognizes. When that rhythm is present, responders focus on the next best move, rather than arguing about definitions or scrolling through dashboards for comfort.
Triage begins with a severity schema and first-look gates that classify alerts using evidence, not hunches. Severity should map to business impact and likelihood in terms leaders already track: revenue at risk, safety implications, privacy exposure, and service continuity, so the number on the case actually drives behavior. First-look gates confirm that the alert is timely, targeted at a real asset, and supported by fields the playbooks require, rejecting anything that fails basic validation. Gates also test for context signals, such as internet exposure, privileged identities, or sensitive data sets, nudging a case up or down within clear bands. When classification is anchored this way, two analysts staring at the same alert land on the same severity without a committee.
Before acting, enrich every alert with asset criticality, identity context, and recent change history, because those details bend decisions. Asset criticality connects the event to business value and tolerance thresholds. Identity context shows role, group, and privilege standing. Change history explains whether the behavior tracks with newly deployed code, configuration, or access. Pull this context from inventories, directories, and change systems, and attach it to the alert so the triager does not hunt across tools. Enrichment is not decoration. It turns generic failed logins into failed logins on a payroll gateway from a privileged contractor account 1 hour after a role change. That one sentence shortens debate and sharpens the next move. Deduplication and clustering reduce fatigue by assembling related alerts into a single incident that tells a coherent story. Deduplication collapses identical signals with the same source, destination, and signature within a tight window, avoiding dozens of copies that hide the real picture. Clustering links different but related events, such as an anomalous login, a token reuse, and an unexpected data egress based on shared entities and time proximity. The goal is not to erase signal, but to move from pebbles to a path, so the incident reflects a chain of behavior that a human can follow. When the system groups alerts precisely, analysts spend minutes understanding a storyline rather than hours closing clones.
Playbooks provide the backbone for action, and they must include explicit containment triggers, branching paths, and verification checkpoints. A containment trigger might be disable access for the affected identity if multi-factor prompts occur from 2 geographies within 5 minutes, while a branch could separate contractor accounts from employee accounts because the legal posture differs. Verification checkpoints force a pause to confirm that an action had the intended effect and did not degrade service beyond the agreed tolerance. Each step should name the evidence to gather, the decision owner, and the clock that governs waiting. With this structure, playbooks become instruments for judgment rather than scripts that demand blind execution.
False positives drain energy, so validate signals against known benign patterns without blinding coverage. Maintain an allow list for sanctioned scanners, scheduled jobs, and approved automated behaviors that otherwise mimic adversary techniques. Pair these lists with time-boxed suppressions and reasons, then review them regularly to prevent permanent blind spots. Use field-level tests to confirm that the event truly matches the malicious condition and not a lookalike, such as comparing process parents, command line flags, or token attributes. The aim is a small, audited set of suppressions that deflect noise while leaving room for new detections to prove themselves in the wild. Escalation is a contract, not a suggestion. Escalate on defined thresholds that align to severity bands. Page on-call responders through the agreed channel, and record precise timestamps for every handoff. Timestamps should capture the moment of alert creation, triage start, escalation, containment action, and verification, because these marks become the backbone of the incident timeline and the measurement of performance. Require acknowledgement within fixed windows and define the next escalation hop if acknowledgement fails. When escalation follows this ladder, nobody wonders who is driving. The system itself applies the pressure needed to keep momentum. Communication during live response should be structured and discreet. Use templates that capture what happened, what is known, what is being done, who owns the next step, and when the next update will arrive. Include classification labels so recipients understand the handling expectations and route versions appropriately. Technical teams get detail, executives get outcomes and impact. Protect sensitive details such as keys, credentials, or customer identifiers by referencing them via case artifacts rather than pasting them into chat. Clear, quiet updates prevent rumor-driven thrash and keep the organization aligned without oversharing. Every incident deserves a ticket that contains artifacts, hypotheses, and next steps, and that links directly to the relevant runbooks. Artifacts include logs, screenshots, packet captures, and configuration diffs, each labeled with time and source so they remain admissible and understandable. Hypotheses describe competing explanations for the behavior and what evidence would confirm or falsify them, which keeps analysis honest and focused. Next steps assign owners to gather specific evidence, execute containment, or validate recovery. Linking the ticket to a runbook ensures no one invents process under stress and that improvements stick when the dust settles. A durable timeline is the investigator's map and the reviewer's truth source. Build it as you go, not after the fact, capturing when signals arrived, who acted, what changed, and what evidence showed at each step. Record decisions and the rationale behind them, including any constraints or trade-offs, because those notes explain why a path was chosen and inoculate the review against hindsight bias. Preserve evidence in tamper evidence stores with chain of custody notes when legal or regulatory scrutiny is likely. Timelines that read like well-kept ship logs make lessons learned specific and make auditors comfortable. Legal and privacy are partners, not spectators, especially when notifications or special handling obligations may apply. Engage them early when personal data, regulated records, safety systems, or contractual service levels are touched by the incident. Provide facts without speculation, including data categories, jurisdictions, and preliminary containment status, and capture their guidance as explicit tasks with owners and due dates. When potential notifications loom, align draft language, timing windows, and evidentiary attachments so the message is precise and defensible. This coordination keeps responses lawful, respectful, and efficient while the technical team does its work. Measurement is how triage gets better. Track mean time to detect, spelled MTTD on first mention and MTTD thereafter, and mean time to recover, spelled MTTR on first mention and MTTR thereafter, across severity bands and incident types. Monitor false positive rates per rule and per source to spot drift or miscalibration. Use these trends to tune thresholds, adjust playbook triggers, and prune noisy detections that never lead to action. Share a short, regular scorecard with leadership so investment discussions rest on data rather than anecdotes. Numbers should change how you work or they are just decorations. Consider a short scenario that moves from alert to containment within minutes. An identity provider raises an alert for a privileged user authenticating from 2 distant regions within 4 minutes, followed by an access token reuse on a payroll application. First look gates pass, enrichment reveals the account belongs to a contractor with elevated roles, and change history shows no recent legitimate travel or role change. The playbook triggers immediate step-up verification, and, failing that, forces token revocation and a temporary account disable, while a network rule blocks the source IPs. Within 8 minutes, access is contained, and the incident proceeds into evidence collection, password rotation, and root cause analysis without waiting for a committee. In conclusion, schedule a triage tabletop that rehearses this end-to-end rhythm and refresh playbooks based on the gaps you find. Use a realistic scenario from your top risks, run it against your actual tools and on-call rotations, and record timestamps, bottlenecks, and decision points as if it were live. Update severity definitions, enrichment sources, escalation ladders, and communication templates where friction appeared, and retire suppressions that concealed useful signal. When the team practices fast, consistent decisions under pressure and the playbooks evolve in response, triage becomes a quiet engine that moves the organization from surprise to control in minutes rather than hours. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.